Tino's one of the most special guys that I've played with. Just one of those guys that you just kind of want to hug every time you see him. You just love to have him on your team.
He was a hard-nosed, power-hitting first baseman.
Probably one of the best first basemen that I've ever seen.
Martinez a diving stop. What a play by Tino, the defensive play of the game. Martinez down the right field line. Grand slam.
We won because we pitched the ball and we played good defense. A lot of that started with Tino.
The Yankees have done it again. Number 24.
Tino wanted to win. Tino was a leader.
The New York Yankees, world champions, team of the decade.
Tino won 4 rings. He played the way you're supposed to play.
For the 3rd time in a row, 4th time in 5 years, they are the world champions.
If you can be remembered as a winner, isn't that the greatest thing in sports?
Outplaying first base, Tino Martinez.
He will go down as one of the most popular players that the Yankees ever had.
It is high, it is far, it is gone!
He played hard, fans loved him. He was a real Yankee.
Oh, the band Tino delivers big time!
There are many players who can say they wore the Yankees pinstripes, but there are a select few who actually become part of the rich heritage of the team. And there's no better measuring stick to determine if you are in fact a Yankees icon than the fans. Hi, I'm John Sterling for the Yes Network, and this is Yankeeography. If there was any doubt that Tino Martinez would forever be looked upon as a Yankee for life, it was erased on opening night of 2005 when he entered the game against Boston in the top of the 7th. It was then that the New York fans let Tino know just how they felt to have him back.
Outplaying first base, number 24, Tino Martinez.
I hadn't come off the bench as a defensive replacement in years, and I was so excited to be out there. I was really nervous, and I thought, I got to catch any ball they hit to me.
There's Johnny Damon.
Diving stop, Tino flips the skirts in time. What a play! Oh, what a play by Tino!
I just dove and stuck my glove out and caught it.
Welcome back to the Bronx.
I made the play, and the fans went wild. That was a lot of fun.
Is he loved here or what?
I loved seeing him in the uniform again. It just felt right.
What a way to end the inning, and what a welcome home for Tino Martinez.
Who knows? Maybe Tino dreamed of big league moments like this while playing baseball with his friends at his first home in Florida.
Growing up in West Tampa was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. It was just one of those things where every kid in the neighborhood played Little League baseball.
Getting the boys involved in Little League gave them something to do besides school. And my husband managed them and worked with them and got everybody involved.
The Little League park I played at, so many great players came out of there. Lou Piniella, Luis Gonzalez, Fred McGriff, Dave Magadan. Programs there at West Tampa were outstanding. It was all about having fun and let the kids learn the game.
But while Tino turned to baseball for fun, he also learned the importance of hard work, thanks to his family.
My grandfather was part owner of a cigar factory here in West Tampa. My father was the general manager of the cigar company at that time.
As the boys and 12, 13-year-olds, my husband would call them early in the morning, 7:30. There was a truck coming in. They needed to unload.
So we'd get up early and get to the factory and just start going at it.
It was a full day of unloading these huge bales of tobacco. These are an example of the bales. 150 pounds, you have 2 of those stacked up.
So we'd be there from the time that we started to the end of the day, loading, unloading trucks.
We'd come out of there, come into the semi-truck, load up a couple of barrels of tobacco on our hand trucks, take them up this ramp here and down another chute.
So you can just imagine those 3 kids pulling that out of a truck into the elevator here, up to the top floor, unloading it and go back for another one.
And by the time you were done with them, you were just, pretty wiped out.
My dad's philosophy behind the whole thing was, you guys got to go to school, get an education, because this is not the kind of job you want to have the rest of your life. He made us work there summer after summer, and, it made us better people.
But it was baseball where Tino chose to channel his energy. And come high school, he began to stand out.
They had a great tradition of baseball there at Tampa Catholic, and I made the team my freshman year.
Freshmen rarely played for the Crusaders, but Tino got a shot thanks to the presence on the team of future big league pitchers Lance McCullers and Rich Monteleone.
I was a pitcher at that time, getting scouted by a lot of different people. And when I didn't pitch, I played first base.
Coach Frank Bermuda came in. He didn't want one of those guys to get hurt playing first base because they had these great pitching careers ahead of them. So he asked me if I could play first. I said, sure. The first couple games of the season, just started hitting the ball, and they couldn't take me out of the lineup.
He had a lot of power as a freshman kid, and he had such a sweet swing.
I had a great year that year. We won the state championship. I always carried that winning desire to all my teams I played on and tried to instill that in everybody else.
After 2 solid years at Tampa Catholic, Tino transferred to Jefferson High.
Luis Gonzalez was there. A bunch of our really good friends we grew up with in the neighborhood at West Tampa were all at Jefferson. And I thought, well, Jefferson's a bigger school. All my friends are there. Why not go there and see what happens?
What happened was that Tino got a taste of the regimen established by his new coach, Pop Cuesta.
What he got here was a structured practice where he could work to get better at what he was doing.
The batting practice of taking ground balls, it was the first kind of organized, almost like a minor league system that he had.
And it spurred Tino to improve his game even after practice.
If you went by his house, he had a fence where you would hit 500 balls off the tee every night.
This is the fence I used to come out to and hit off the tee a lot. I would hit one ball after another, one ball after another. It just seemed like every time I hit off the tee, I got all kinds of hits. I thought it was my magic formula, so I kept coming out here and doing it almost every day.
Fortunately, his friend Gonzo was of the same mindset.
For us, baseball was our life and our passion. You go to school, after school, you play baseball. When you leave there, you play American Legion ball. It was kind of a year-round thing for us.
We were inseparable and ate, drank, and slept baseball.
They also helped lead the Dragons to the Florida State Championship their senior year. And as a result, the big league scouts came swooping in.
I had a great year, and the Boston Red Sox drafted me in the 3rd round. And at that point, it was one of the decisions where I thought, wow, I can start a professional baseball career right now.
However, my father was big on education. He always said, you know, if the scouts want you bad enough, they're going to draft you again.
I decided to go to college because my parents pushed me in that direction. And looking back on those days, I thank God that I did not sign.
Tino made the right decision, went to school and got a little bigger and a little stronger, matured a little more.
Tino's decision to go to college also gave him the opportunity to play in both the Pan American Games and the Olympics, where he won a gold medal. It was the kind of experience he now looks back on as the perfect prelude to his major league career.
Those years in college helped me develop and become a more mature person. When I left college, I was ready for the challenges ahead of me.
Marco Polo! Marco Polo!
After a record-setting tenure at the University of Tampa, Tino sat back to see where he'd be drafted his 2nd time around.
We were all here just waiting until he got the phone call.
Seattle selection is Constantino Martinez.
The only team I didn't talk to, the Seattle Mariners, were the team that called me and drafted me.
And so he took his first pro steps, first in Williamsport, then Calgary.
You have to grind it out and be mentally prepared for it. But you really realize those times that who wants to make the big leagues? You see all different guys that may have had more talent than I had start to fade.
Tino got a taste of the show in both 90 and 91 and immediately impressed his teammates.
I could tell that Tino had a lot of fire in him, along with a lot of abilities.
Tino Martinez takes the Grand Tour.
Following his first full year in 92, a familiar face from Tampa joined the team in 93.
Lou is a good friend of my brother's and my husband, and they sort of grew up together.
You go on and play for Lou Piniella, this guy who I grew up with, was unbelievable.
He was just a novice kid that was just starting to learn to hit, and he worked very hard.
He was hard on me. To this day, I appreciate that because it made me a better player.
Seattle's talented young squad under the tutelage of Piniella took off in 95, especially Tino.
Tino does it again!
My confidence level just started growing. I got to the point where I knew they couldn't get me out.
Hit deep to right field! It's gone, and Seattle wins!
And Tino was also winning games for Seattle with his glove.
He was always an excellent first baseman. The infielders loved throwing to him. Good hands over there, so he's a good all-around player.
Good enough, in fact, to become a first-time All-Star.
Fielder Tino Martinez.
But in '95, Tino was just getting started.
For a good portion there, the second half of the year, he carried us.
And the Mariners win it 9-8. Tino Martinez, his second home run of the game.
He really blossomed into a really, really nice hitter.
Tino does it again.
It's hard to say exactly what clicked. I just think that mentally I became a lot more confident in myself and my ability, and that's the year that really turned my whole career around and set me off on a good long career after that.
No question the numbers he put up in '95 established Tino as a star in the making, and he helped the Mariners overcome a 12.5-game deficit to force a one-game playoff for the Western Division title. Tino remembers it well.
Refuse to lose. That has been the mantra for the Seattle Mariners down the stretch.
First out of the game was a pop-up to me down the foul line. When I caught that pop-up, the crowd roar was like I've never heard in my life.
Tino Martinez.
And everybody on our team was like, wow, this is awesome.
Seattle Mariners are the champions of the American League West.
Next, an unforgettable series with the New York Yankees.
Every single game in Yankee Stadium and in Seattle were close. They were come from behind wins. There was dramatic home runs.
The Yankees win. Jim Lehrer, it's a two-run homer. Oh, hang on to the roof. Home run. Don Mattingly.
Tino, too, got into the home run barrage.
Fly away. Tino Martinez.
I was pumped up because that's my first playoff home run.
Tino's having this great series for Seattle, almost single-handedly wrecking apart the Yankees.
But it would be another Martinez, Edgar, who would finish them off.
The whole team came out of the dugout to wave Griffey around third. He scores, and the players are already on top of him.
The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship.
We're like, wow, we just beat the Yankees.
The Mariners couldn't have picked a better time to captivate Seattle.
We became some sort of heroes there in that town. And it just so happens that in '95, in November, they had to vote for whether or not they wanted to get a new stadium to keep the team in Seattle or not.
Safeco Field was built, and it all came about because of the '95 season.
Call it now the season that saved baseball in Seattle.
So the future of the franchise in Seattle was secure. But would Tino be part of it? Tino's magnificent '95 playoff against the Yankees turned out to be a convincing audition, for Seattle could not afford him come '96.
The Mariners at that time were keeping their payroll down, and they had a lot of high-salaried guys. And Lou Piniella said, we have to trade you.
I talked to Tino, and I said, Tino, where would you like to go? He said, boy, the Yankees spring train right here in Tampa.
Coincidentally, the Yankees needed to fill the void at first, left when their beloved captain Don Mattingly retired. Replace Mattingly? Tino was all for it.
I just thought it was a great opportunity, so Lou said, I'll make it happen.
So when the Yankees came calling, Tino had some words of advice.
I told my agent, don't mess this up. I don't care what they offer me. A 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, whatever they give me, we're taking it. So they offered me a 5-year deal with an option for the 6th. And I was like, what? It just totally caught me off guard. I was like, 5 years of the Yankees? Forget it, I'm gone.
And so Tino became a Yankee and took on the daunting task of replacing a New York legend.
I knew what I was getting into to begin with. I knew the fans loved Donnie.
They want Mattingly to take a bow, and here he comes. It's pretty remarkable as you look back because Donnie Baseball's an icon, and nobody wants to follow him.
So we're like, wow, this guy is awesome. I always had the utmost respect for him.
So much so that Tino took number 24 in lieu of the number 23 he wore in Seattle. He did so out of deference to Mattingly's legacy.
I personally feel that he should be the last guy to wear that number. You know, I don't want to be a guy who wears it and then all of a sudden they retire it.
From the beginning, let Yankees fans know, you guys love Donnie Baseball, I do too, and I respect him. And I'm not trying to replace him here, I'm just trying to succeed him.
I just kept telling myself in spring training, don't get off to a slow start. Just get hot right away and get the fans on your side. So sure enough, I got off to a slow start.
Tino goes down on strikes.
Tino swings and misses strike 3.
Tino started off very slow, and I think I remember him being booed a lot by the crowd.
He didn't let it bother him. It didn't take away from his natural abilities, and it certainly didn't take away from his work ethic.
I wanted the fans to see that, hey, no matter how bad I'm struggling at the plate right now, I'm going to go out there and take away some hits and make the plays on defense.
That has to feel great. With what's on the minds of every Yankee fan in this building right now is, hey, that looked like Donnie baseball.
I think that helped me in my struggles at the plate because they knew that I was giving all I had out there at that time, and I think they liked that, and they eventually started to accept me as a player there.
Having soothed some of the fans' ire with his stellar play in the field, Tino's confidence began to grow. But then in Baltimore, he had the chance to give the Yankees a 13th inning lead, and
I hit into double play, and we're on the road, and oh man, I cannot go back to Yankee Stadium tomorrow.
Double play!
You know, I can't do it. There's no way they're going to kill me.
But the execution was postponed when Tino came up with the bases loaded in the 15th.
And Tino drives it to left field. That's out of here. A grand slam home run by Tino Martinez.
I just felt like this burden was lifted off my shoulders. Like, oh, thank God I did something positive.
And the Yankees take a 10-6 lead.
That was kind of his moment where he became a Yankee, so to speak.
When I got back to Yankee Stadium, the crowd just gave me a great ovation when they announced my name.
Number 24, Tino Martinez.
I thought, okay, this is it. I got to go in here, and things just started taking off from there.
This one is way back and gone. Tino Martinez. It is gone. 3-run homer for Tino.
He ended up turning into be one of our clutch hitters. I mean, a guy that we wanted at the plate when we needed a big run.
Tino Martinez's second home run has tied the game at 3.
I started swinging the bat well the rest of the season, hitting home runs, playing good defense.
Picked off by Tino. He dives to the bag.
There was no more Mattingly hangover. I think fans are very, very happy to have Tino Martinez on that field.
Indeed they were, and Tino went on to have a solid first year, both in the field and at the plate. Most importantly, he helped the Yankees return to the World Series for the first time since 1981.
The October Classic is back in the Bronx.
But Tino struggled in the playoffs, and in 3 World Series games in Atlanta, he gave way to Cecil Fielder.
It was very difficult telling Tino that he wasn't playing. I just felt I had to go with Cecil because he was hot at the time.
I had a horrible entire postseason, and as bad as I wanted to get in my hits or hit my home runs or be a hero in this game, we kept winning, and we won the World Series.
Yankees are the 96 World Champions!
All that was forgotten. It was like, hey, I'm world champion.
Tino had won a World Series, and he'd also won over the fans.
I think the fans appreciated the fact that he came into this very difficult situation and he didn't let them down.
Even though the Yankees won it all in 1996, Tino's struggles in the World Series gave him incentive to improve his game, and he did just that come spring.
That spring training was the best spring training I ever had. I was on fire from the first day of spring training. I was in a groove. I was hitting balls hard every single day. When the season started in Seattle that year, I went 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. And I was like, no way. Now I've lost it. Fortunately for me, the next day I came out and hit 3 home runs.
My, oh my! What a night for Tino Martinez!
Sometimes the stars just align, and right from the second game of the season, and he just had a great year.
Pitches hit deep to right field. If it stays fair, it got it down!
I got in a groove that year where it seemed like anytime the pitcher made a mistake, I hit a home run.
Into right field, hit a ton!
It seemed like every time you looked up, he hit a 3-run homer.
Goodbye, 3-0 New York. Tino Martinez, my friends, has just established a new standard for RBIs in April.
Tino's torrid start gave him 28 home runs by the break, and he was the starting first baseman in the All-Star game, where he also took part in the Home Run Derby.
Now we
get to some of the heavy metal here in the All-Star game.
First, I didn't want to do it because I wasn't a good batting practice home run hitter. I'm not going to sit in front of 55,000 people and not hit a home run.
What'd you tell me yesterday about being in this home run contest?
I said I was more nervous about this than playing in the actual game.
Tino's so humble. He didn't really picture himself in that group, but he was. He was in that group. Tino was one of the best power hitters in the game at that point.
Come on, Tino! This one is slugged to right center field.
Tino's hitting good for about 4. The first round, I hit a couple home runs. I thought, all right, I didn't embarrass myself.
Let's go, come on, let's go! First swing for Tino Martinez, back.
Next round, I just got hot.
Oh, this one's here in time. Back it goes, back. Gone.
Just hit a bunch of home runs, and all of a sudden, I wind up winning the darn thing. It was just as shocked as anybody else. But it's a great trophy to have and a great memory to have, and it's a great feeling.
Tino's home run swing stayed with him in the second half, assuring the Yankees of an anchor they could count on in their lineup.
I think the Yankees realized that this is a guy that's going to be a lethal force in the middle of this lineup. At 97, he absolutely proved that. As good a year as any Yankee first baseman had since Gehrig.
In fact, Tino's 44 home runs were the most by a Yankees first baseman since Gehrig, and he was runner-up for MVP.
He had one of the best seasons a Yankee first baseman has ever had. I think that year, everything just came together for him.
But not quite everything, for despite Tino's phenomenal year, the Yankees did not duplicate the success they had the season prior.
What gets lost in that 40-plus home run season was that they finished second to the Orioles.
He had his best personal year, but in the context of doing well that year, the Yankees did not win the division. The only time during his time with the Yankees they didn't win the division.
Having won in 96, we thought we had a better team in 97. And going into the postseason, we thought we had a great chance to win the World Series again.
But although Tino would add a playoff home run, it was not to be, as the Yankees season came to a close in Cleveland.
To go to Cleveland and lose that series there was a huge disappointment. It was the biggest blow to our career at that time because we thought we had a great team. And coming home, we were disappointed because we feel like we let everybody down in 97.
Coming up on Yankeeography.
People always ask, which one was the best World Series? And the next one you win, it just gets better and better.
Welcome back to Yankeeography. Although he had his personal best year the season prior, Tino entered the 98 campaign hoping to erase memories of the Yankees' early exit.
A chance to really ward off winter, and spring is coming, and better days are ahead.
Number 24, Tino Martinez.
We just feel like we let everybody down in 97, and I think that helped us in 98 as we worked so hard that year to get back to where we wanted to be.
It's deep, Breathe is back, he's looking up, and it is gone! Some electricity here at the stadium on Tino Martinez's first home run of the season. They want Tino to come out, and he does!
Everything just clicked. The team just went out there every day with this fire and intensity that I've never seen a team have.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
The 98 Yankees epitomized the team concept thanks to a core group of solid players with one goal in mind, and no one better exemplified their character than Tino.
He had this mentality that, I've got to do something today to help this team win.
A good team player.
He works extremely hard. He expects a lot from himself. He's very intense.
Tino had a presence about him. He was that type of quiet leader that's pretty special. He's the right guy at the right time for the Yankees.
Tino's presence on that team was really important because of this ability to motivate players. Tino was always in the middle of everything, and that's the type of guy he was.
And he asked players about Tino, and he plays every day. Whether he was tired, whether he was hurt, he played every day. 98, he missed 5 games when Benitez hit him in the back, and he hit him good.
Right between the 2 and the 4.
Caught me off guard. I just thought, wow, get the end of my career right there.
Don't throw Tino Martinez, and the Yankees have shown that before.
He was one of the toughest, nastiest bench-clearing brawl fights I've ever been a part of.
Now, the Yankees don't need to be united anymore as a club. They're playing great baseball.
We were a close group of guys, and we cared for each other, tremendously.
You don't encourage those brawls, but he hit me really high up with a hard fastball, and it was a dangerous pitch.
He didn't break any bones, but his soft tissue got damaged pretty good. And he didn't complain much about that. He went about his business and continued to play. That's what made him one of those warrior kind of guys.
If Tino was injured, he certainly didn't show it. And his contributions to the team's success went far deeper than mere stats.
Behind the scenes, there was not a more important leader than Tino Martinez. He was really an important figure beyond batting average, home runs, RBIs. His fire to win every day was really addictive.
To come to the ballpark every day knowing we're going to win the game all season long. It was the most unbelievable season I've ever been a part of.
In fact, it was an historic record-setting season. But Tino and the Yankees still had something to prove.
As good a team as we had in '98, you still have to win the World Series.
First, you have to get there, and the Yankees did just that. But Tino was frustrated by still another postseason slump.
He can be his own worst enemy because he grinds and he cares so much and he tries so hard and wants it too bad.
Game 1 of the series proved to be the perfect form for redemption.
Now to bring up Tino Martinez with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Go, Tino, this is it. Come on, this is the time right here.
And if Tino succeeds in any way, the Yankees will take the lead here in the 7th.
Tino, you knew something good was going to happen. I mean, he was just so due, and he wanted it so bad. It was almost like we were getting on the step already because we knew he was going to do something.
And the 3-2. Swung on a drill deep to right. There it goes. That ball is gone. A grand slam into the upper deck for Tino Martinez. And the Yankees lead 9-5. Oh, what a home run for Tino Martinez.
And my whole at bat, my whole time I was thinking, just get a base hit up the middle. At that moment, we took the lead in the World Series. The fans went wild. That was a huge at bat, I think, for my career.
Watching that grand slam go out of there and just watching the people go crazy. That's what I remember about the 1998 World Series.
For Tino, it was more than a home run. It was a moment to savor and a statement. Tino's blast was the spark the Yankees needed as they capped off one of the greatest seasons in baseball history with a statement of their own.
Let's go, Yankees! Get on the ground on a hop to Brocious. Fields throws across in time. Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
When that ball was coming across the diamond, I felt like it was just coming forever, like it would never get there. And when I caught it, I was like, I can't believe we're world champions again.
In our lifetime, we will probably never see this again.
The 1998 New York Yankees will be mentioned among the greatest teams in the history of baseball.
That was the greatest season we had. 98 was the greatest season. We closed out that deal that year. It was just a huge accomplishment.
The euphoria of '98 carried over to the next season, where Tino became just the 3rd Yankees first baseman to have more than 100 RBIs in 4 consecutive years. Once again, he helped the Yankees win the title.
The New York Yankees, world champions, team of the decade, most successful franchise of the century.
3 champions in the last 4 years.
It's a great feeling. I started thinking about it today. I wanted to walk around, tell people, hey, I've won 3 championships so far, and it just sounds so funny and so weird because it's so hard to win one. People always ask, which one was the best? And it just gets better and better because it's so much harder to do each year.
The New York Yankees have once again reached the summit of the sports world. They've won their 3rd straight championship.
My first reaction was so excited, but I went, you just won 3 straight. That's amazing. And I still feel like it today. It's an amazing accomplishment.
It truly was amazing what the Yankees accomplished. And at the heart of this dynasty, Tino Martinez, who earned a well-deserved place in Yankees history.
the essence of...
Although he could celebrate the Yankees' 2000 World Series title, Tino had suffered through his worst season in pinstripes.
Martinez strikes out, and Tino didn't like it at all.
And with 2001, the final year of his contract, Tino's future was open to speculation.
Tino Martinez, possibly his last year as a Yankee.
I knew I had to prove a lot of people wrong, and I didn't feel like I was getting older at the time. Maybe I was 33, 34. So I knew I could still hit. I just had a horrible year in 2000. I couldn't find my rhythm. I couldn't find anything. And I just came home that winter and worked out again like I usually do. And I went out there and put up a solid season.
In fact, Tino would lead the Yankees with 34 home runs and 113 RBIs.
High and fairly deep to right field. But it's down! A two-run home run. Tino Martinez and the Yankees take a 3-2 lead. He's coming out for a great call.
What a moment at Yankee Stadium.
But in the midst of Tino's triumph, there was tragedy. A stunning event that left everyone shaken.
Obviously, it was one of the most devastating times for us as well, because we were in New York, and I was in my apartment in Manhattan when the whole thing happened. When the season started again in the city, people were telling us, hey, we enjoy watching you guys on TV. So we started feeling like we had to go out there and have a great finish and try to win the World Series for these people that were suffering so badly.
When play resumed 7 days later, the Yankees seemed inspired by the strength and resilience of their city. Once again, they reached the World Series, where they faced off against the Arizona Diamondbacks and Tino's childhood friend, Luis Gonzalez.
We got a lot of media attention for that because we grew up together, and we were doing interviews together and having a lot of fun with it.
We used to play at the beach, stick ball, court ball, and all that stuff.
We really took the time out to talk to the press because we thought the people back home would enjoy the fact that we were there together.
Imitate our favorite players and stuff growing up, pretending it was a World Series or a big game. And now we find ourselves across the diamond from each other playing in this big game.
Have a good one. Have fun. All right, take care.
But only in their wildest playground dreams could they have envisioned the fairy tale ending to Game 4, with the Yankees down 2-1 and trailing 3-1.
Well, I had never faced young Kim before, so in the 8th inning, I actually went up in the clubhouse and watched the 3 hitters on TV. So I noticed he threw everybody first pitch fastballs.
Kim's throwing, and he looked unbelievable in the 8th inning. I think he struck out the side.
He struck him out swinging. Great inning for Kim. 3 out, 3 strikeouts. Kim still looked unhittable in the 9th, when with 2 out and 1 on, Tino came up, having studied and learned his lesson well.
So I'm just thinking, okay, I know he throws everybody a first pitch fastball here because he knows that we haven't seen him. So I just went up there and I got a first pitch fastball right down the middle and hit it pretty well.
And fly ball center field. Hit his way back at the wall. Goodbye. Home run. Tino Martinez.
And when I saw it went over the fence, I was like, oh man, we're back in this thing.
And the Yankees on the precipice of defeat tie the game at 3.
It was a great feeling to think that with 2 outs in the World Series, hit a game-tying home run to keep the Yankees alive.
Oh, Tino delivers big time.
But I also thought in the back of my mind, this will all be for nothing if we don't win this game.
Well, the Yankees did win that game on a 10th inning home run by Derek Jeter, and then staged another miracle in Game 5. The Yankees' magic vanished in the desert when in Game 7, Tino's old buddy from West Tampa got to experience the ultimate World Series dream.
And a little blooper. Big deal. Diamondbacks win. They're the world champion. Gonzalez did it.
The thing that meant the most to me was when the game was over, the first message that was on my answering machine was not from my parents, my mom, or my grandmother, or anybody like that. It was from Tino, who was sitting in the other locker room calling me saying, hey, congratulations.
It was the end of the chapter for Martinez and the Yankees. And in true Tino fashion, he looked back upon his time in pinstripes with both dignity and class.
I knew we had a chance to win another World Series, and I was disappointed that I didn't have that opportunity to come back and finish at that time, but I had a great run there, and I had to move on and then try to keep my career going and hopefully one day return.
The Yankees hunt for October.
I accomplished everything in New York. I loved playing for the Yankees. At that point, I thought, where else can I get some kind of a charge out of playing that might compare to New York? And I thought St. Louis would be great because it's a great organization, a great fan base. I thought that would be a great opportunity, a great change for me at that time in my career, and I learned a lot. I thought this would be the best fit for me because that's the kind of team I wanted to be on. There's one goal here, and that's to win. Nobody's playing for themselves.
Having replaced the legendary Don Mattingly in New York, Tino is off to St. Louis in the footsteps of still another imposing legend.
Nobody expected me to hit 70 home runs or anybody coming in to do what Mark McGwire did. So I thought it'd be easier in that sense. The toughest part I had, though, was adjusting to the new pitching that I was facing. You know, I was so comfortable in the American League. I didn't play as well as I wanted to play.
It's a strikeout at Tino Martinez. He strikes out for the second time.
I didn't think it had nothing to do with replacing Mark McGwire because I don't think anybody could have done what he did.
Tino hit 21 home runs in 2002, but fell short of playing in his 5th straight World Series. In 2003, he got a pleasant surprise.
When I signed with the Cardinals my first year, we didn't play the Yankees. I thought I'd never play Yankee Stadium again. When I saw the schedule the second year, I was like, oh boy. And, you know, I obviously was looking forward to it.
Tino Martinez. Designated hitter. And now the hand for Tino Martinez. Hard not to have goosebumps tonight.
There are going to be Yankees from that era. No matter what uniform they show up in when they're players, we're always going to be dignitaries at Yankee Stadium because they brought such great memories and moments to a time and a place. They created a dynasty together.
Oh, can you feel the love?
It was unbelievable. You know, I appreciated it. I thought, you know, they didn't have to do that, but they went way above and beyond anything I could ever imagine.
Tino must feel pretty good. What a huge ovation as he returns back to Yankee Stadium.
That was a great moment in my career that I'll never forget and one of the greatest feelings I ever had.
The Yankees swept the Cardinals, but Tino gave the fans a reminder of days gone by.
And Tino has returned to New York, a 2-run home run.
Andy Pettitte was a little flustered because, you know, here I hit the home run, they're giving me a standing ovation, and he's like, you know, I know they love you, but come on.
Tino hit another 2-run home run. Second home run of the day, and the Yankee fans love it.
My teammates were like, you know, this is the greatest place I've ever seen. And I told you, this is the greatest place in the world to play.
In New York and St. Louis, Tino had played in 2 great baseball cities, but there's no place like home.
I had 1 year left of my contract with the Cardinals, and I knew that they wanted to move Albert Pujols, who had a little bit of arm trouble, from left field to first base. I talked to Lou Piniella when I got home, and he says, yeah, we're trying to trade for you.
We called him and asked him if he wanted to come back to Tampa and play with the Devil Rays. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. So he came over.
It was great because I loved playing for him in the past. I thought it would be tough because I knew we weren't going to win a whole lot of games. But I went in there with that attitude of, let me help these guys the best I can day in and day out.
And he did right out of the gate on opening day in Japan, when against the Yankees, he hit a milestone home run.
See ya! A long 2-run home run by Tino Martinez, his 300th in his career. They lead 8-3.
The most amazing thing about that whole year was almost like a summer ball type feel where I live in my house, I go play ball, get 4 at-bats, you know, come back home.
Well, it was right in our backyard is what it was, and we'd attend some games, and it made it easy for us. So it was very nice to have him home.
Tino was happy to be home, but when his second home came calling, it was time to sit back and take stock in his future.
The Devil Rays wanted me to come back again for another season, but the Yankees had contacted my agent and said they may be interested in me coming back, and you know, that team just seemed to be set at first base for years to come. Everything had to fall into place for me to come back at all.
Still to come on Yankeeography. Championship baseball was too much to ignore.
It was a natural that Tino would come back. He wanted to come back. I think Tino missed the winning and everything that went along with being a Yankee.
It had been nice to play in his hometown, but now, in the twilight of his career, Tino wanted more.
It
It was one of those you can get back to the place but not the time kind of things, and he was accepting of the role.
I knew that my playing time would be limited, that I'd be a part-time player, a DH every now and then, but it's the only team that I would go to and come off the bench.
Even though he may be a backup player for us this year, he's still going to put the same kind of pressure on himself because he's a very proud individual and he expects a great deal out of himself.
Once camp broke, Tino and the Yankees headed north for an opening night matchup with their #1 rival. What ensued was a fitting welcome for an old friend.
So then he comes back opening day, and all of these huge stars, and there's A-Rod and Jeter and Bernie, and who gets the biggest hand?
The first baseman.
Who's the one who's appreciated the most is number 24.
Number 24, Tino Martinez.
Opening day coming back, they were so fired up about me coming back in any capacity whatsoever, and it was a great feeling.
This unabashed show of affection by Yankees fans reached its peak in the 7th when the 16-year veteran came in to play first base. And Tino said thank you right back.
Oh, a diving play by Tino. He flips the skirts. Welcome back to the Bronx.
It was like old times in a way. Tino was there for his intensity to be able to do those kinds of things.
Strange things happen at Yankee Stadium. There's always a way to give that player that the fans love a chance to really show them how much they love.
To play in front of that atmosphere every night is what every baseball player dreams about and the situation you want to be in.
But trouble was on the horizon as the Yankees went 11-19 in their first 30 games.
A bewildered Yankee team.
The Yankee hitting doldrums continue. In desperate need of a spark, Joe Torre turned to a trusted vet.
I got my chance to play, and I started getting confident to play. I was very comfortable. My swing was good.
There it goes. He's done it again. He has homered in 5 straight games. I don't believe it, and I'm seeing it.
Jonrón de Constantino Martinez.
It seemed like Roger Maris there. He was going deep every day. It was incredible.
Unbelievable. That is 10 home runs in 37 at-bats.
He literally carried us for about a month and a half.
At the time, I think the Yankees were thinking, wait a minute, we brought this guy in to be a backup, and all of a sudden he thinks he's the starting first baseman here again.
It was a great feeling because I knew I was helping the team win, and we were battling back from being a below 500 type team, getting back to 500 and getting ourselves back on track again. And to be able to contribute in that sense, in that capacity at that time, was worth it for me.
Once again in 2005, Tino got to play autumn baseball in New York as the Yankees captured the Eastern Division title. But this would be the final curtain call for a man who truly loved this city, a city that adopted him as one of its own.
7 o'clock in the morning, everyone's up and everyone's moving and everyone's intense. Well, that's exactly how Tino played. Tino fed off the city and the city fed off Tino, and it was a perfect match.
He became so beloved because of his personality and his intensity. I mean, he put up great numbers year after year.
To me, Tino was a real Yankee. You could sense he was a good person. You could just sense that he was a really good guy and that he loved being here.
He was just Tino Martinez from Tampa, just an everyday guy that every day went about his business, and for him personally, it added up to tremendous years.
Tino's one of the most special guys that I've played with. Just one of those guys that you just kind of want to hug every time you see him. You just love to have him on your team.
He will be remembered as part of the greatest dynasty of our lifetime. And if you can be remembered as a winner, isn't that the greatest thing in sports?
To think that I'd walk away with 4 World Series titles, play in 5 World Series, I never imagined that.
You're a young guy coming up. Handle yourself like this guy did, you know, no matter what happens, and you're going to be okay. And that's why Tino's adored by Yankee fans.
Tino somehow connected with the pinstripe faithful and was always appreciated for his efforts. They will never forget the moments of high drama he afforded them, both in the field and at the plate. To them, Tino always will be a very special Yankee. For the Yes Network, I'm John Sterling, and thanks for watching Yankeeography.